Now at 4 o'clock, back in prime time, the January 6th committee returns for its 8th hearing tonight with promises of opening eyes on the insurrection at the Capitol.
Is Portland's magic back? Well, tourists are starting to return and gives the Rose City rave reviews. Why business leaders say they are not surprised despite serious problems plaguing the city.
And one of those serious issues sparks an emergency declaration from Mayor Ted Wheeler as Portland struggles to get a hold on rising gun violence. And that is our top story this afternoon here at 4 o'clock. The mayor's new plan centralizes city resources with the goal of reducing homicides and shootings within 2 years.
So the mayor says the Safer Summer PDX will focus on the small group of people behind the majority of shootings in Portland. The plan calls for outreach and interventions in gun violence hotspots. A new study in Portland shows homicides have more than doubled between 2019 and 2021. The report also showed more than half of Portland's gun violence during this stretch of time was group member involved, which includes gang activity. Wheeler says the new plan will use community-based outreach workers, not law enforcement, to connect with people who are most at risk.
Emergency declarations can get results that the status quo just can't. It organizes the work needed within a unified command structure and provides the agility and the ability to address gun violence in our community.
Portland is aiming for a 10% reduction in shootings and gun violence deaths over the next 2 years. The mayor adds that that goal is the minimum, though. The city hopes to do a lot better than that. Well, as city officials try to curb gun violence, organizers of a free summer camp in Northeast Portland are hoping to make a difference of their own.
Tim Gordon joins us. And Tim, the goal here is really to empower kids in some of the neighborhoods hit hardest by gun violence.
Yeah, Brittany, it is about empowering them to believe in themselves and others and to set their sights high and away from trouble. Plus, it's summer camp, so it's fun.
At Highland Christian Center, the sermon is on Sunday, but lessons are being taught all week long at summer camp. For the youngest kids, it may start as simply as playing by the rules. A game of red light, green light is good for that. However, the ultimate goal here is to counter the violence in our streets, says Senior Pastor Dr. Sean Neeland.
And so the purpose behind this camp is to build self-esteem, to build entrepreneurship ideas, to counter and change the narrative. And as I often say, it begins with mentorship.
Most of the mentors here are older teens and young adults.
These kids, these kids, I love them. They put a smile on my face.
Like 15-year-old Antoine Spencer, he says this is more than a summer job, connecting with kids who, like him, may not live in the safest neighborhood.
I just want to make them feel included, and if they have problems at home, I want them to come here and feel free to be happy.
Or 19-year-old Davian Cunningham, who says he's lost 2 friends to the violence.
I'm here to just get back to the community, be with the kids, have fun, of course, and just get them onto the right path to where they don't have to be on the streets or have to go to the wrong way of life.
70 kids up to age 15 are enrolled in the Highland Youth Leadership Academy, and there is classroom time at camp designed to help them explore who they are and want to be, like Jameer.
One day I want to be in the NBA, so I have this picture right here.
Dreams, big and small, are supported here.
I love this summer camp. I was in summer camps growing up all the time, so.
Enila Hollis is back from college in Atlanta, mentoring kids who in summertime can have too much time on their hands.
When they're here, they have something constructive to do. They have food, drinks every day. They're here making new friends. We teach them stuff.
Setting a positive course beyond the trouble in our streets.
One of the lines in our motto says, I believe in myself and others believe in me. So it is very much important for me to let the kids know that I do believe in them. I believe that they can be great. I believe that they can achieve their goals.
Now, we mentioned this is free for the kids and families. The church got a grant that pays for camp and other programs for kids through the end of the year, all with the priority of countering and changing the narrative, as Pastor Nayland said, one child at a time. Brittany.
Wow, really important story. Thanks so much, Tim. Well, in developing news this afternoon, President Biden is isolating after testing positive for COVID. He is fully vaccinated, twice boosted, and is now being treated with the antiviral Paxlovid. The president said he feels fine and has only mild symptoms. Biden will isolate at the White House for at least 5 days until testing negative. He plans to continue his duties through phone calls and Zoom.
I'm doing well. I'm getting a lot of work done. Going to continue to get it done.
It's not unsurprising, despite all the precautions that they're taking, that this is happening. It's happening all across the country.
First Lady Jill Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris tested negative for COVID. A New York resident has tested positive for polio, the first case in the United States in almost a decade. This is in Rockland County, about 30 miles north of Manhattan. Healthcare providers there are now on high alert for more cases. Polio is highly contagious and can cause muscle weakness, paralysis, and even death. Those who are not vaccinated against it are urged to do so, while vaccinated people who are at risk of exposure should get a booster. The last known polio case in the U.S. was in 2013.
Today, the U.S. House passed a bill to codify the right to contraception access nationwide. The vote was largely along party lines, with only 8 Republicans voting yes, along with Democrats. The bill would make it federal law for people to obtain and use contraceptives, as well as protect health care providers who make them available. Democratic leaders say they felt compelled to pass this after Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas suggested revisiting a 1965 decision that prevented states from banning contraceptives. Well, in less than 1 hour, the January 6th committee will be back in prime time for its 8th hearing on the insurrection at the Capitol. Leaders say this hearing will reveal what was going on in the White House as rioters attacked. It'll hone in on the 187 minutes after former President Trump concluded his January 6th speech. That includes what the president was doing, with one committee member claiming Trump, quote, gleefully watched the riot unfold on TV. This is the last scheduled public hearing, but the committee says it does plan to hold more later this year. You can watch beginning at 5 right here on KGW. So that means we have some programming changes tonight. Take a look at this. The news at 4 is only a half an hour today, with NBC Nightly News starting at 4:30. The January 6th hearing coverage will last from 5 to 7. Then a special edition of KGW News and the good stuff will follow.
Well, let's turn back to some of our local headlines now. One of 3 people accused of turning a brawl into a riot back in May of 2019 has been convicted. A jury found Mackenzie Lewis guilty of felony riot charges. This comes after a judge dismissed charges against Joey Gibson and Russell Schultz on Tuesday. The 3 are affiliated with Patriot Prayer. That's a right-wing group based out of Vancouver. The fight involved Antifa activists outside the former pub Cider Riot.
Well, you may have noticed more people walking around Portland lately. Local hospitality and business leaders say tourists are returning to the Rose City. The problem is local hotels need more staff to keep up with the influx in visitors. Let's bring in our Mike Benner. And Mike, industry leaders are really pushing hotel jobs as a great opportunity.
Right, an opportunity that teaches life skills that'll pay off down the road. And speaking of pay, we are told that the national average for hotel wages increased 18% since the start of the pandemic. And the hope here is that these higher than normal wages will encourage people to join an industry that could use some bodies, especially here in Portland.
Amongst the sea of people in downtown Portland Thursday was the McShane family. Mom Eileen, Dad Chris, and teen sons Ewan and Oren.
Yeah, just trying to see all the sights, fit it all in.
Visiting from Glasgow, Scotland, the McShanes tell us they've been impressed by the Rose City. The Rose and Japanese gardens among the family's favorite stops.
It's lovely. It's really nice. I've traveled a lot of big cities and around the place, but this is it's a nice vibe to it.
While some of you may find the McShanes' visit to Portland puzzling due to the city's homeless crisis, gun violence epidemic, and civil unrest, local hospitality and business leaders aren't at all surprised.
It feels different. There's that Portland magic is kind of back.
Megan Conway of Travel Portland said at a press conference Thursday, room demand at hotels has increased 28% over the same period last year. Hotel occupancy, she says, has increased 17%. Here's Travel Portland's Jeff Miller.
The city is buzzing again. I couldn't be more excited to walk the streets, see our tourists enjoying the city, the landscape, the parks, and certainly our restaurants.
If there's anything wrong with that, it's this. Hoteliers are struggling to find workers. We're told there are hundreds upon hundreds of open jobs at local hotels.
Now's the time.
Chip Rogers, president and CEO of the American Hotel and Lodging Association, says there's no better time to get into the industry. He touts higher than normal wages, better benefits, flexibility, and career advancement opportunities.
This is the time to come and join our industry. We desperately need people to join this industry because consumers are back. They want to stay in hotels. They're enjoying traveling again. And if we can just be able to service them the way we did pre-pandemic, it's going to help your local economy.
And if anybody's hoping the local hotels can bolster staffing, it's the McShanes, who pledge to return to Portland in the future.
It's a nice vibe to it. It's nice and friendly and relaxed, and it's really nice.
All right, visitors like the McShanes are so vital to a city's economy, in this case, Portland's. Research shows that for every $100 spent at a hotel, approximately $222 is spent out in the local economy. Let's send it back to you.
All right, Mike, thanks so much.